All right, let's get this party started. Welcome to the Fuck Your Fantasies workshop so you can play with magic instead. I am going to be guiding you through this training to really help you unpack and unhook from the Cinderella story or the damsel in distress so that you can get back into what you really actually value, to stop making yourself miserable chasing after things that you might not actually even want, like really truly what you actually want, and get you tapped back into what you actually value, what actually makes you happy, and what you actually want to create in your life. So, welcome in. If you're new to me, my name is Nicole Severson. I am a somatic coach, life coach for women, and help them to really heal emotionally and sensually so that they can reclaim their power, their voice, and feel more free in their body. So, why this workshop, right? You might see the headline and be like, fuck your fantasies. Like, why would I want to do that? And I really am going to drop into why the damsel in distress, or why the Cinderella stories of happy ever after have actually really kind of fucked you up. And this isn't just women, this is a society in general, where we have, in a consumeristic culture, have learned how to chase after the things that we want. And while this can have good effects in us taking action and going after our dreams and creating new things, it's when we live in a constant state of feeling miserable, or we don't have what we actually want, that perpetuates throughout our life, that can make us miserable, basically. So this is where you can use examples of even celebrities or people who we assume have it all, right? With the looks, the money, the partner, the house, the world travel, all the things, who still feel miserable because this fantasy of, once I have those things, then I'll feel better. Once they have the things, they realize like, oh shit, I still don't feel better. So this is embracing our humanness, but also allowing us to tap into what we actually value, tap into what we actually want to be doing while we're here on this planet, right? While we're walking, talking, breathing, and living, and tap you back into your dreams. And so this isn't to say that you shouldn't have dreams, or you're going to be, chasing things. It's like, yeah, like anything we've created as humans, like this cute little microphone was somebody's like desire, that and a dream that they wanted to create something and bring it into reality, right? These didn't exist a couple years ago, these baby ones. They didn't exist 50 years ago. They didn't exist 100 years ago. So this isn't to say to not dream big and to go for it. However, it's going to be changing your inner dialogue and your inner world so that you're not chasing the external, trying to find a happiness or fulfillment. Because yes, you can still feel fulfillment in accomplishing things, and that is great too. But it is this happily ever after fantasy when it makes you miserable, and how to change this. So let's first really dive into, okay, and first, before I get going, we're going to have up to an hour. I will leave time at the end for Q&A, and then I will also be letting you know about some different things that I have coming up that I would like to invite you to, if you're interested in deepening in on this work and really getting to tap into playing with magic and the magic of who you are, and being in this moment and being in your body, versus the hamster wheel of trying to succeed and success and get ahead and all of those things. So it's a yes, and those serve a purpose as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about the Cinderella story and how it has fucked you up and how you've been lied to. So in most Disney stories, modern day cartoon things that we watch, consume growing up, very common in the Western world, right? More so, where it's this, someone's going to come save me, someone's going to make my life better, and then I'm going to ride off in a golden, carousel off into, or carriage off into the sunset, and happily ever after. And there are a lot of us who also have been sold this: once you graduate from high school, you go to college, you get the right job, and then you buy a house, you get married, you have kids, the white picket fence, and then happily ever after. So while that may have been the case for a lot of our parents and their generation, right? It's definitely not for most people how things kind of shake out now. So what happens is when we believe that once we have the job, or once we have the partner, or once we have the career or the money or the Lamborghini or the jet or the yacht or whatever the thing is, then I'll be happy. And what this is a fantasy. And these are different than dreams, right? So dreams are something that are on your heart. I'm going to really dive into the differences between these, where fantasies are more of like our egoic, trained by culture mind of what life could be like if we didn't have any pain, any problems, like nothing's wrong, there's no struggles, and therein is the lie, right? So for anyone that has gone after their dreams, you know that there is a lot of sacrifice. You know that there's a lot of choices and a lot of rejection and a lot of tenacity and depth that gets built within yourself of continuing to keep trying and moving towards a dream, even when it doesn't look like it could happen. Whereas in the fantasy, right, in our heads, we can fantasize about, it being easy and not having any struggles. And that's good for envisioning. And there's a difference here, right? Between envisioning, like what athletes use around having their best game or their best playing. That's a little bit more of something they have control over within themselves and envisioning that and feeling it in their body. Whereas in the fantasy, it is this like idealizing, wishing, yearning, longing for something that you don't have or don't even sometimes believe you can actually have. And it actually makes people miserable, especially if you're doing this in comparison of comparing yourself and your life to what you see on social media or other people having. So this is a big, notable difference to just start witnessing of yourself, where when you fantasize about having a perfect partner, or when you get this next new better job, then you'll be happy. And I'm not saying that when you have better, healthier shifts and someone amazing comes into your life that you won't feel better. Like when you get a raise and a new job and it's something you've been desiring, like that, yes, you will feel better in those senses. And it comes with new pains and new pressures and different things, right? It's not just like it shifts into never having issues or problems again. So I'm also going to tap into talking about how and why pain, pressure, these things actually serve a purpose. So on a basic level in your body, pain serves as feedback to let you know to avoid something, to change a boundary, to take action, or don't touch the hot stove again. It's literally your body's way of communicating to your mind. So in our most basic limbic brain, where we have the fight flight response of avoiding pain, we allow ourselves, hey, welcome in. Okay, so when we have pain, it is a feedback response from our body, and it isn't the oldest form of how our body speaks to us. So before there was a lot more of our like rational thinking brain at a basic level, if something's going to cause your pain, your brain naturally tries to avoid it. So there is a purpose with this. And the more that we can learn how to hold pain in the sense of, I'm not going to die if I do this, but it's allowing you to move toward your dreams, then it allows you to keep going through with tenacity and holding yourself in a different way where you're not self-inflicting pain. But this also taps into where pleasure serves a purpose as well, where when we know where to get the like good berries and or the things that are pleasurable and feel easy or nourishing, we also have that dynamic as well. So again, it's your body's way of letting you know, does this feel good? Doesn't it? And a lot of the time when we're seeking the fantasy, it is a way for us to escape pain. It's a way for us to lean into something that feels good. So at the core of this, and your ability to hold both your pains and pleasures, is your capacity to basically walk through the fire. It's your capacity to walk towards actualizing your dreams. And fantasies are the idealizing of when I have a perfect partner, when I have more money, when I have a perfect body, when I have these things. And it's us noticing what we don't have. So while we tap into these fantasies to try and escape, it's also this kind of loop that gets created where we start noticing that we don't have it, or we might not ever have it, or those things that causes us to be miserable. Whereas dreams, our actual soul-led, heart-led dreams, on the other hand, are those deeper longings, those maybe sometimes secret desires. And the thing that moves us forward, where we will put up with pain and pleasure and whatever it takes in order for us to move towards this thing. So that's where that walking through the fire really leads us, and it's a pulling forward. So with fantasies, they tend to keep us like, I'm less than. It puts something on a pedestal, whether it's a person or a job or a Lamborghini or whatever it is like, until I have that thing, I'm not enough, or until that happens. And it creates this noticing of what I don't have compared to what I want. And it usually sucks your energy. It makes you feel miserable. It makes you feel less than. Whereas these dreams of what I actually really want in my life are the things that are going to make you move. Those are the things that are going to help you take action and have more confidence, because it's going to be like, I can't help but do this thing. I can't help but say this thing because it's on my heart, because it's on my soul, because it's guiding me forward. So it's a very different dynamic. And that's really what we're unpacking in this today. So at the core of this are your emotions. So as much as we all like to be like, we're rational and I think logically and all the things, at the end of the day, any choice that you make is based off of, is this going to bring me pain or pleasure? Is this going to bring me closer to what I want or not? And this can be anything from, if I want the perfect body or more energy or whatever the thing is, I'm going to make a commitment to go to the gym every day. And there's pain with that, right? But it's a choice where it's like, whether I'm sore or tired, or I don't feel like freaking going or getting out of bed in the morning in the winter time, or whatever the thing is, there is a deeper pulling towards your health or your energy or how you want to feel in your body when you put on a bathing suit or whatever the thing is. And this is the same for careers, for relationships, for different things, where that deeper dream of really embodying what we want is, we are willing to hold both the pain and the pleasure. Whereas with the fantasies, it's like, we just want the thing overnight. And then it's like, we don't expect, like, it's all pain or all pleasure, no pain kind of a thing. So, you may or not be living out of a survival pattern of escapism, longing, and to be rescued, and giving your inner authority, your option to choose, and your ability to take action away when you're fantasizing about something. So if you think about this, I'm going to use my own personal example here. It is like slightly embarrassing, but it's not embarrassing, but it's just more of like, oh, I just have to love on that girl because she did not know better in my own life. But basically, the fantastical thinking, the magical thinking, the escapism helped you through a hard time. It helped you, it could have helped you take action towards a dream. However, when we get stuck in living in that place, it causes so much pain when we're constantly comparing our life to what's ahead of us versus working with what is happening right now. So a personal story for me in this is I grew up just like so boy crazy, and always had this like idealizing of somebody I thought was cute or had it like a crush on or whatever. I did this all through my younger years, up through my 20s, and still have to catch myself when that old pattern wants to come up. But basically, I would chase men. Like, I would fantasize and idealize about how great they were, and like in my head make up, them being this like all amazing, can't do any wrong kind of person. And even when they were not interested in me or investing in me or any of those things, I would just like let the gate open to like 1,000 wild Mustang horses run with my like fantasies of what it would be like to date them and like what it would be like when in reality it was like they were not even interested. So I have like from a very young age, and at the core of this, when I really started unpacking this of like, why am I so interested in the idealizing, whether it was like with a celebrity or somebody in, you know, in my world, like more so when I was like a teenager, when I started really unpacking this, it was because I had a huge abandonment wound, right? So like my real father, I did not grow up with, was not raised with. I didn't meet him in person until I was 33 years old, and didn't talk to him for the first time on the phone until I was 12. So this was back before the social medias and all the things, right? And my first stepdad left when I was 7, and I never saw him again. I think I saw him like one time after, and I never heard from or saw him again. So I had this huge hole, like abandonment of not under, you know, I was too young at the time to understand cognitively or rationally um, why, the why. And so in my head, I would idealize the idea of that affection and of that love. And it was a very wise way for that younger part of me, a part of myself to cope, right? It was a survival, a coping, because at that age, I was too young to like, couldn't understand. And it was all feeling, right? So there was no therapy. There wasn't really a lot of talking about it within my family. It was just like, that was it. And it was done and we're moving on. And so there was a lot of confusion. And what made me feel better was to get really big crushes or fantasies about guys that I was attracted to. And it felt like it was filling the void at the time. However, it was a huge escapism. And so when you start to address like the core piece of what runs these fantasies is when you can get more clear on how they're running you. And this can show up in so many different ways in your life. So this can be when you chase money, right? So maybe you grew up poor, maybe you grew up having money and then it was taken away, or different things. And so you grow up chasing money and fantasizing about, when I have more money, then I'll feel happy, and and then I can buy the things, and then I can have, you know, and so that goes in that way. So it's just noticing where these things can really drive you, and where that fantasy of this is going to make me happier. So it's kind of a yes and, where like, yes, when you have more money or you have a partner, you can feel happier. And there's going to be new pain points and pressures and problems that arise within. When you have more money, you have more on your schedule, you have more responsibilities, you have more taxes, you have different problems, right? Bigger problems. Same thing with a partner. When you're single versus having a partner, you have more communication, more having to set boundaries, more having to like communicate in new ways, that or like not having as much freedom in certain ways, and new problems, right? New pressures, new problems. They're different, they're bigger. They're just, it's more of a reality basing versus the fantasies are, I'm going to be happy with no pain or problems or pressures once I get these things. And that's where it's causing people problems. So I'm curious, you can let me know in the chat, where have you done this, whether it's with money, a career, a partner? Where do you still believe, once I have this thing, then I'll be happy? Or just only seeing like, there's only going to be benefits, right? There's no problems here. So this is just using my own personal example, where I would like fantasize about, you know, this boyfriend and how amazing it was going to be and all the things, and not see the downsides of like, if they were moody, or they were an addict, or, you know, like different things, where like in the reality of dating this person, where it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine and all the things. So letting me know in the comments, drop them in. And then this is the biggest piece, right? When you fantasize about something, it is perceiving that you're only going to experience bliss. Like it's just all amazing. There's no problems. There's like just amazingness. And when you're in the reality of like bringing your dreams into reality, when you're in the reality of bringing your dreams into the reality, when you are in the place of moving with your heart's desires and what you actually value in those things, you create and you're willing to take on the pains and the pleasures because it is part of the process. And that's a huge difference in not burning out, in working with what you have right now, in being resourceful. Whereas fantasies tend to make people a little bit entitled, a little bit like, I deserve this because I'm here kind of a thing. And whereas when you're actualizing your dreams and working from what you actually value, that you, it's like, it's not, I don't necessarily love the word humble, but it allows you to really expand and deepen and amplify what you're actually good at and the relationships you actually want to have. And so you become like a curator and a co-creator of your world versus like hoping someday that it'll change, hoping someday without taking any action, without really digging deep and holding both your pain and pleasure. So I also want to know like who's experienced getting the thing they wanted only to find out that they were happy for like maybe a day or like 30 minutes or maybe like 2 seconds. And then it was back to like, well, what's next? One of my mentors, Martha Beck, talks about this pretty extensively where, you know, she has like 5 PhDs. She was a professor at Harvard and she checkbox, like got married, had kids, like went through everything she thought she was supposed to do to be happy. And then still found that there was this like, I've checked all the boxes. Like, why do I still feel like this? And so this is really what I'm speaking into, because more often than not, the idealizing of a fantasy or like this checklist of then I'll be happy is actually at the core of it is stemming from pain, right? It's from this void that we're trying to fill. So let me check my notes here because I want to really dive into this. So a lot of the time this is a pattern for people, right? It's something we've learned culturally, like how to consume. Like once you buy this, you'll be happy. Once you then you'll be happy. So it's this chasing of happiness. It's a fantasy of like not ever experiencing problems or pains. I remember when I was initially in my inner work healing journey in my early mid-20s, and I had this really profound awareness experience where I knew I was learning tools to learn how to deal, like heal from past stuff and let go and work with my emotions and different things. And I had this huge realization that I was like, oh, like this is like an ongoing thing. It's not like I heal this and then I don't ever feel pain again. And I remember being so upset. I remember being like devastated because I was like, wait, what? So I had been fantasizing like the healing journey or like the spiritual journey. I wasn't bypassing by any means because I was doing a lot of deep work and shadow work and path work stuff, but it was more of the realization that like, oh, like these are tools. So the next time things happen or when things happen or when I get triggered, that I know how to move through it, but it doesn't mean that I'm never going to experience pain again or loss or frustrations or different things. So I don't know if you've had that experience, but that's definitely been mine. So your fantasies, the perception of this idealizing is what is causing the pain. And in the past, it's probably helped you escape pain, but now it is creating a pattern that is causing more. So I'm going to lead you through a practice that's going to tap you into what you actually value, what your dreams actually are, and really naming this fantasy so that you can break up with it and get really into your body and your heart around what you actually want to experience in this life, which is kind of a big deal, and or reconnect to it, right? You might not be like, I don't know what it is, but it might be just like a recommitting and a reconnecting. So you're getting out of like the fantasy land of when I have the thing, then I'll be happy. So this is so important because it's a grounding practice. It's also like getting you out of your own way, right? And most people miss out on this because they're spending so much of their lives chasing what they think they want rather than living and breathing into the things that they actually want to create. And again, this is not to say that you shouldn't have big, juicy, dreamy, delicious, ecstatic, orgasmic dreams that are gonna, like, when they come true, you're just gonna be like, oh my God, this is even better than I could have imagined. But allowing yourself to like understand that this is moving with both your pain and your pleasure to actualize your dreams and getting out of the escapism of the fantasy, because that's what causes the pain. So go ahead and grab a pen and paper. And we're going to go through a process of how to literally say fuck you to your fantasies. Fuck your fantasies and play with magic instead. And so grab your pen and paper, get cozy. And as you drop in here, I just want you to take a few moments to breathe, right? I just gave you a lot of information. And as you breathe in through your nose, and then exhaling, breathing out through your mouth. And from what we've discussed and what you've kind of like maybe brought into your awareness, I just want you to write down and identify and call out, or maybe calling in is a better word, but I want you to identify the fantasy of yours. You can pick one, you can, if you have more than one, write it down. I just want you to name it and see it on paper rather than just this like dirty, shameful secret. So if you know that you fantasize about, I'll be happy when I have more money. I'll be happy when my coaching business is making a certain amount of money. I'll be happy when I finally meet my partner and happily ever after. I'll be happy when. So this is the fantasy that secretly is kind of making you miserable because you want it so bad and you just notice how much you don't have it. And maybe something that's been making you chase something or act desperate or like out of integrity for yourself, right? Is this fantasy. And digging a little deeper into this, so peeling back a layer, I now want you to identify what is the feeling you think you'll feel and have an experience once the fantasy comes true. Most people say happiness, bliss. So when you have the more money, how does that feel in your body? What is that feeling? When you have the dream partner and you ride into the sunset of happily ever after, what is the feeling? Is it orgasmic, ecstatic, utter bliss, joy, happiness, ease, relief? And look, I'm not saying like if you have more money, it wouldn't make things easier on some level or feel better. I'm not saying, I'm not negating that, or like a partner, but there are different challenges and pressures and pains and things that come with those things. So now I want you to notice, I'm just following some of my notes here for you guys. Now I want you to tap in as you breathe here and really feel into the not having of your fantasy. So this is where most people, when they're like, oh, I don't have it, I'll never have it, I'm never going to be enough for that. And I want you to identify what the feeling you experience is when you realize you don't have it right now. This could be shame, it could be pain, it could be grief, anger, abandonment, longing, aching. Right? So like when I think about, I'll use just for my little kid here, I'll use Jason Momoa as my example. Being like, oh, if I could just have a man like that, and all the fantasy ideas of like travel and like him being gorgeous and la 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 la. And that noticing that I don't have it right now is that like aching to like want to have a really beautiful partnership with someone, right? So there's this like longing, like, it'd be like that don't have feeling. And I want you to tap into, where do you feel it in your body? Like how, like this, noticing you don't have it, and really getting into that core emotion. Where do you feel it in your body and how do you feel it? So when I think about that aching and that longing, it's just like this like feeling in my heart where it's like heavy and it's like this feeling. And yeah, it's like a heavy ache and I feel it in and around my heart space. So not like in my heart, but like in my chest where it feels like this, like it wants to be filled. And it's just that like, that feeling. And now I want you to literally in a like like just almost like objective, like subjective, like I'm trying to think of the word that I want, but this like not rational brain. But I want you to ask this part of you, that like aching piece of you, asking it, what do you need from me? What do you need from me? What do you want from me? How can I validate you, witness you, hear you, see you, feel you? So when I drop into that and I have that like, and it's like, I just want someone to hold me, or I just want somebody to like love me or see me or hear me. So in that moment of when I do this kind of work with myself, I'll literally be like, I'll hold my heart. Like I'll be like, oh, I know, I want that too. And so it's like really understanding that you aren't that feeling and your body's just giving you feedback, right? It's a feedback loop between your brain and your body. Your body uses pain and pleasure to speak to your brain. And when we can witness our feelings of this like ache and really getting into like, what does this part of me need? What void is it trying to fill? And how can I do that for myself versus thinking something externally is ever going to fill that? And a lot of people, when they get to this space, will use religion or God to fill up, right? Connecting to source. And depending on whatever your religious context is or not, this energetic connection that you have to all that is, to love, to source, to creator, whatever you name for it is filling up on that. And this is not to bypass your physical need for actually having relationship with humans, right? Whether like on whatever type of relationship, but this is also a filling up where when you feel really full in your life, you'll notice that when people have partners and kids and money and a career and all the things, if that longing, this type of like deep ache is still within them, it is usually because they're not filling up on their own connection to source, whether that's out in nature or through written word or song or music or whatever the thing is that fills that person up. So I just want to bring that into context here too. So I want you to take whatever this feeling is, the positive feeling of what you desire to feel, so that when you feel into the fantasy, the feeling that you want to feel. And I want you to, almost like your bird's eye view, to pull back into your life right now and really witnessing where you already experience feelings of this or essences of this in your life right now. And I'm just going to stick with the like relationship one because that's usually a big one for people, but as it relates to money or a human or a career, where can you already own that you have essences of this in your life already? And if you're like, well, Nicole, I don't have a partner, so duh, like, of course, they're not actually here. But I want you to, this goes into like, what are certain things that you want out of the partnership versus just having like a warm body next to you? Whether it is someone who sees you or someone that you deeply connect with or someone that you love their laugh or someone you find attractive or someone who cares about you and reaches out. And so I want you to just start noticing where you already have these qualities in your life. So for me, it's like my grandma calls me, or I love one of my friends laughs. And so like hearing their laugh, whether it's just in stuff they post online or just when we talk, feeling the different ways in which. And so this can also be like with money, if you're like, oh, my bank account's in the negative, or like, I don't have the money right now, noticing where else do you have abundance and resources. So maybe you don't have the finances in your bank account, but maybe a parent of yours is helping you with groceries or gas, or you have a friend that's like, I'm going to treat you to dinner because I want to see you and take you out. And just noticing what different forms and ways you already have the things that you're wishing and hoping for in your life right now. So I want you just to take a moment here to write down where you already feel the feelings. So when you think of your fantasy and like, oh, I'm in love with Jason Momoa and we're going to ride off into the sunset, or when I have a bajillion dollars in my bank account, that feeling. And then I want you to start noticing in your life right now today where you already have those things, where you already have someone that you find hot that you can look at, whether it's in person or online, or where you already have that abundance coming in. So take a moment to write those down. And if you need, if you're watching the recording, you can pause here and let it like really take time on this one, because this is a big one, especially if you're looking, no matter what it is, if you're looking for a relationship or money or a different thing, is noticing where you already have it in different forms. And I swear to God, this time collapses into it showing up in your life. The more that you can do this and make this a pattern, the more it's like you're not missing anything. You're really not. And it's great to have the desires and actualizing of dreams and bringing things into the world, like you're literally birthing new ideas and books and events and microphones and shit into the world. But coming from this place of you're already, it's from like this within coming through and being led, right? When I was talking about being led versus I wish I had this. And it's like this thing that's outside of you and you're constantly chasing it, but it's not coming from within. So it's this gap and it's this disconnect and it's this chasing and desperateness. And once I have it, then I'll be happy. And then once you get it, you're like, fuck, I'm still not happy. So this is really shifting from that. So from here, dropping in with that and realizing like these fantasies that you've been chasing, and then dropping into where you already have these experiences. From here, what are the life experiences and or creative endeavors that you want, truly deeply want to experience in this life? And whether you're reviewing this for the first time or reconnecting into this, whether it's having kids, like some people are like getting married, some people can't even admit that to like that they want those things or allow themselves to have it because they have so much pain or trauma or beliefs that they're too broken or they can't have those things or they wouldn't be a good parent or whatever the thing is. Same with money, right? Like I can't ever actually make my own money because I'm a woman, right? There's different things around that. So I want you to allow yourself to list out the desires you actually have. I desire to have a beautiful, loving, healthy partnership, even if I've already like been divorced or gotten married or, like I want that again. I want to have kids or not, maybe not. I want to travel the world. I don't know if that's even possible for me, but I'm like so excited to like open myself up to that. I want to write a book. I'm not a writer. I suck at like language stuff, but I have so much I want to tell the world. I'm going to like open myself up to allowing like to take the steps towards that. Like, what are your bigger dreams? This could be being a stay-at-home mom. Like I desire to raise like amazing kids and be supported and not have to work in the sense of like going into a job. Like, what are the like actual dreams of your life? And if you find it's easier to start with materialistic things like I want the house and the car and blah, 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 like allow yourself to go there too, right? So it's not like saying those things aren't like wants, but I want you to tap into your heart around deeper life experiences and creative endeavors that you just so have on your heart. And if you need to pause here in the recording, I want you to list them out until like you are like, I don't know what else. And I want you to notice if you're going blank, where the fear of actually tapping into what you truly want might be bringing up some pain and like fears around, like, I don't think I can actually have that. And just witnessing that and just noticing it, because that's such a great drop-in point for healing and for addressing that. and really learning how to build up your confidence and allowing into the courage that it takes to actually actualize your dreams. It takes courage, it takes action, and it takes a lot of tenacity, right? It's like eating rejection for breakfast. When we go into bigger things, and this is even just with raising kids, right? Like when they're teenagers and they're like, I hate you. And you're like, awesome. I'm glad I birthed you into this world. So allowing yourself to really tap into what you desire. And from here, go ahead and write down at least one action you'd be excited about to take towards your dream. And I want you to write it down. One action. So this could be deeper healing. This could be getting on a dating site. This could be sitting down with your finances and looking at like what's actually going on here and next steps of like how to take care of that, or to call in more money, or apply for a new job, or having a difficult conversation with your child, whatever the thing is. I want you to write down one action that you can take towards your dream, to these deeper desire dreams. And allowing yourself to, as you're writing down, at least one action step. I don't want you to get overwhelmed, but like one really deep, potent, like it's going to move the needle. It's going to like actually feel like a firm foot on the ground for you to move, to start to move and start to let your heart move you. And in this, I want you to notice the potency and the power of your presence in this. When you're able to witness your own self in this moment, like really how powerful that is. And what we just did of like identifying the shamey like fantasy and then sitting with like, when I feel like I can't have it or won't have it or don't have it, what does that feel like? And then what is the feeling that I want to feel? What are my dreams? Like, what are the things, like, you might be somebody that's like, I've done it all and I have everything I want, but you're human and you have a soul. And as long as you're here, you're going to want to expand and grow. So what's the next? Like what, and are you having shame around like stepping into what's next for you and your next expansion? Because that's a real thing too. So I want you to take a moment here to write down any ahas, anything else that comes for you. And while you do that, I'm also going to let you know about some other stuff I have going on that you can tap into. So I do trainings like this at least once a quarter. So I've got free guided trainings and workshops and experiences all on my YouTube channel. So if you go type in Nicole Severson on YouTube, it's going to pull up my channel. You can go subscribe and go scroll on through. And I also have a lot of people that I've interviewed who are experts in their field that share all different kinds of trainings and practices around that. And I also have a guided group experience coming up that is for women. And it is diving into 12 weeks of playing with the femme fatale and your shadow work and also your femme magic. So tapping into going deep, like we just did, unearthing the things, feeling it through the body, somatic release, emotional healing, and getting you back into your sensuality, owning your voice, really stepping into your power and owning it. And whether it's like new to you or not, it's an expansion of it. So embodying it even more. That starts in April of this year. And I'm also hosting a retreat in Austin, Texas in April. And you can message me for details on that. It is April 22nd and 23rd. And that's going to be a 2-day experience. So if you're in the area or wanting to travel in, we're going to be playing around with some Cambo and microdosing, which both are optional, but really into a weekend of resetting and getting into the body and learning how to hold both pain and pleasure in a sense of really tapping into your next level, and also just this reset in your body and really stepping into your power for that. So I will answer any questions that you have you can go ahead and drop them in the comments below. And I will be answering those if you have any. Would love to hear about your experience with this. Anything that came up for you, feel free to DM me or send comments or questions. This is a awesome practice today. I look forward to hearing how this was for you. And yeah, just know that anytime you start feeling yourself going into this chasing energy, right? The like once I have that, then I'll feel and start naming it, right? That's how you break the pattern. And every time you start doing that, like witness it, love on it, be so sweet. And then drop into your heart space and just really tapping into like what I really desire in this is a like loving partnership or having a healthy relationship with money or having more or whatever. But like using these, what you actually truly, truly value and desire, and using this to tap into what it is you actually value. So a lot of the time when we think we want more money, the value is more of a sense of stability and security and choices and freedom, right? We value freedom in that. And same with wanting a partnership. It's like you want someone to experience life with, you want the intimacy, you want to have fucking awesome sex, like whatever the thing is, right? So allowing yourself to tap into like what you truly actually really desire in this, and then using this as a practice to softly and gently start breaking patterns that these fantasies have been like making you feel miserable. So allowing this to tap you into what you actually want, and I can't wait to hear how it goes for you. So much love, and we'll chat soon. Bye.